Caroline Connors is a few notches of self-confidence away from being one of the fittest women on earth.
I'm Caroline Connors, 25 years old. I grew up in Standish, Maine, the youngest of 3, 5 years younger than my brother. He actually passed away in 2012. Right before his 25th birthday, which is crazy to think about that I just turned 25. I'm a coach at both of our CrossFit gyms, so one in Windham, one in Portland. I do morning classes and evening classes. I'm a remote coach, and I work on the blog posts for Misfit Athletics. And then training is all in between. After my first year at USM, I moved to Clearwater Beach, Florida. But I worked with a girl who had done CrossFit, and she dragged me to one of their classes. So I actually tried it for the first time in Florida. I loved it. It didn't last. Obviously, after my brother passed away, I moved home. After that, I just had a hard time, finding things that made me happy. It was really tough transitioning back. I had heard about the CrossFit gyms, and I was doing stuff on my own. I was running a lot, doing stuff with an old, dirty barbell that I found in my basement, watching YouTube videos on how to snatch. And then one day I tweeted at CrossFit MF, and Seth replied and said, "Come to CrossFit MF." So I showed up one day and met Gabe. Hunter was there. I signed up. I remember talking to Gabe, this is what I want to do. I just don't want to get too bulky. So I started. Hunter actually put me through my first workout that day. I've loved it ever since. Everybody's CrossFit story is I walked in and I knew I wanted to go to the CrossFit Games. I had no fucking idea what the CrossFit Games were. I just loved it. I had so much fun.
Caroline came in the beginner class, very quiet, kind of unassuming. She was she was very thin. She looked a lot more like an endurance type athlete, but was just kind of interested in fitness in general. Never expressed any goals of high level competition or anything like that. She just wanted to come in and kind of get the feel for what CrossFit was about.
She's changed quite a bit since then, but initially I was the one who talked to her when she came in. She said she wanted to start CrossFit. She looked relatively fit in a sense that she obviously had been doing some form of exercise, but I'd say half the size that she is now, a smaller athlete, but she definitely had this, eagerness about her, or she seemed kind of bright-eyed, and she seemed very eager to get in and to start working out.
Hunter, actually, he probably doesn't remember this, but he convinced me to sign up for the Open because I was catching on to pull-ups really well. I was, I've always had that gymnastics type background, so those things were luckily easy for me to catch on to. He convinced me to sign up. I said, okay, sure, why not? He explained it to me. I didn't really know what it was. Just something about the leaderboard and seeing where you stack up. I think the only leaderboard that I paid attention to that year was our gym. I'm the 6th best girl. It's so exciting. And there was only 6 girls. So I don't know. I remember the burpee thruster workout. I crushed it for my first year. For me, being a few months into CrossFit, I remember I did really, 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 really well. People were like, "Oh my God, you didn't even look tired. That was so cool." And I was like, "This is the best feeling in the world. I did so good compared to whoever." And then I knew that feeling was great. Knowing that you did something as hard as you could and you did it almost perfectly was such a cool feeling that I just wanted to keep competing and keep doing it.
It was her first Open, I think. I remember sitting there judging her for the longest time, trying to encourage her. Double unders were just she could not do them, and she was extremely frustrated, they frustrate many people. But I just remember thinking, a skill like that, that can't be such a struggle, and thinking how you have the drive, you have the motivation, because watching her work through that 10 minutes and deal with adversity, deal with frustration, and continue to go, she almost had a smile on her face, it doesn't matter, I'm gonna keep doing this. No throwing the rope, no any of that. And I was okay, I think she has what it takes to attack this and to get there, but if she doesn't have that, skill, she's certainly a long way off.
I remember I want to say it was 2015, I had a conversation with Gabe about what I wanted to do. And I told him that my goal was regionals at some point. And we talked about my goals and all this other stuff, and he said, I think you can definitely make it there, but maybe in, 2 or 3 years.
I remember having a sense of her not quite being there yet. For me, it's always important to encourage people to be as competitive as possible. And, for her, I honestly did not think that she was anywhere near, she was a small athlete, and she was still very raw and very new and still learning a lot of the skills. The big thing for me in looking back on it is I remember thinking she was a few years away, and she freaking cut that time in at least in half or more. The cool thing about her is you can have that conversation with her and be honest with her and say, hey, I think you're a little bit away. And she's not going to take offense to that. She's going to be motivated by that. And I think that was really what was cool, and what caused her to, continue to progress faster than you would say other people, is because there's no offense. There's no, oh, you don't think that much of me? Well, guess what? If I'm not there yet, I'm going to prove it to you that I'm going to be there very soon.
One thing I think that's really important to know with her is there are a lot of people out there that want our attention as coaches, and unfortunately we can't give everybody the amount of attention that they're looking for. I did not know that she even wanted to be a competitive athlete because she just went off into the corner for 2 years and worked her tail off without asking for any attention. Showed up to team tryouts and was fitter than all of the people that were there, all of them. And it was just holy crap. And as a coach, that's such a breath of fresh air of not asking for attention or not asking for hey, you gotta make sure that I can make it to regionals before you're even ready for that conversation. She went and did that all on her own, completely. I literally didn't know that she was that good until that open happened. We're okay, maybe the workouts are just in her favor. Then we start doing these team workouts and she's kicking everybody's ass. And it's whoa, where's that come from? How do you get that? How do you get that level of determination without look at me, look at me, look at me? It was I'm gonna go over here. I'm gonna get so good that I don't even need to ask for your attention. I'm just gonna get it.
Next year, we had a team there. And up until then, I was training, doing the Misfit Athletics and all that stuff with Sherb and Austin and, whoever was in there, T.I. Amber. So we had the team go to regionals, and regionals training was when I think things really started to go up for me. It was just a couple of months where my lifts got better, my endurance got better, my Metcons got better, everything just kind of went up from there. And I don't know if it was a confidence thing or if it was just the adrenaline from holy shit, we're going to regionals. But something changed. And ever since then, it's been that's what the goal is. Get to regionals. Don't just get there, but make it known that you should be there.
That was probably the biggest change between the years that I've seen from her. I think she had all the tools that she had during that time, but she felt like she really was responsible to give everything that she had because there were other people depending on her. And when she put others first and said, I'm going to do this for them and I'm going to be as good as I can for them, she realized for herself what she was capable of. And she realized, whoa, I can do way more than I thought.
It definitely amped me up a lot. A lot of people, they do regionals, whatever, they either get ready for the games or they go home and, take a break, rewrite goals, do whatever. But as soon as we got home, I was ready to train again. So being able to move right from that adrenaline rush to, okay, going home, that's what I want to do next year. And I want to work towards it right now. Helped, I think, a lot.
Within our sport, obviously, being well-rounded is the end-all, be-all. And with Caroline, a lot of times when a weakness comes up, she's ready to get after it right away. When we noticed at regionals when she was on the team that she really struggled with running, she was all for jumping right into that. So A lot of people have preconceived notions about how they should train, how they should eat, how they should prioritize things that happen outside of the gym. And she's just been more of one of those people that's like a sponge. Like, I want information, I'll try this out, we'll see if it works. If it doesn't, what else could we try, that kind of thing. A lot of athletes, it's really hard to convince them to do something. And it's just not hard to convince her to do that.
We were in Dubai when we found out that we had a team, and we had 5 weeks to prepare a team for regionals. Nobody was doing team training. It was definitely a scramble. And in that 5 weeks to probably a month after that regionals, she probably developed more than I see most CrossFit athletes do in 2 years. And I mean, there's no physical, like, you physically can't do that, make those adaptations. It has to come from the mental side of it. And so I think that was the big game changer for her was, oh, hey, I can do this. Oh, hey, like, I was on the floor at regionals. I saw the individuals go. I saw people out there that I know I could beat. That kind of, that drive, motivation, that hunger, as well as that confidence of, oh, I can do this.
Last year, I wasn't really sure. Like, it was kind of, like, the year before, I was like 114th, I think, in the Northeast. So making that jump to the top 20, I didn't really have my hopes up too high, but I obviously wanted to give it everything I had. So it was a little bit of a surprise that I was 15th in the Open last year, and I made it. But this year, my goal was top 10, crush it, get to regionals, and don't just do the workouts. Like, get to the top heat, compete with the top girls that are there, and then, I don't know, hopefully eventually make it to the games.
The big change that I think was made was that she was so well prepared that even though her confidence wasn't quite where it needed to be, that those things started to work with each other as the Open went on. It was like, well, I'm definitely well prepared for this. I am good enough. And then once those two things come together, once confidence and preparation come together, the sky's the limit. So as it went on and on and on, it became almost like a joke where she would, make a comment about whether she could or couldn't do this or that. And I would just laugh at her. I'd be like, we already know that you can do that. We are both positive that you can do that. You have to put that stuff aside. And once she did that, she got done the final workout that everybody hated, and she said it was fun. And that's what happens when you're so well prepared and you actually believe in yourself.
Week 1, I kind of had a little bit of a freak out just because it was such a weird workout and everybody was so close. I think I took 32 points, which was not as good as I wanted, but it's still not a big deal. It's only 32 points.
If she had a concern that I felt was actually warranted, then maybe we would talk things out. But that piece of, I can't do this, when you can do this, there wasn't much of a pep talk at all. It's like, oh no, you can do this. You can absolutely do this. And the only one that specifically comes to mind is she had a goal set for the barbell when the 1 rep max clean came out, and she just kind of strolled up to the bar as if it was, 60, 70% of her max. She didn't really have that on there. And I just told her, I said, you have to know that all of the technique and all that stuff is so well ingrained in you that you can be aggressive. And I told her to be a savage, and she yelled that at the barbell and then hit the lift.
Over, drive up. Yep. Yes! Dude, I did it! I'm a savage!
I really thought Caroline's performance in the Open this year was awesome. I think that she took another giant step forward in terms of last year, and actually even just recently, yesterday or today, we had a conversation about another one of my athletes who is an awesome athlete but has some confidence issues. And she said, I was there last year. And so I think that she knows that she made another step and that she didn't really expect to qualify for regionals. Once she knew last year, once she knew she had a chance, she really pushed on. It was definitely an experience of, do I belong here on the floor at regionals last year? And this year, it was more of an expectation. I should be performing above everybody else. For somebody who's really trying to make regionals in a competitive region with a small amount of spots available, It was one of the most calm, confident, least stressful performances that I've seen. If somebody tells you that you can do something or I believe in you, that's one thing. Now she's doing those things, and like there's no cap on that. Now it's, if I believe that I can do those things, not just somebody else telling me, now the sky's the limit, and I think she's experiencing that now.
Like at first I'm like, oh my God, this open is like favoring me. This is so awesome, but it really like, it's not. Just the past year has been so good for me, like training wise, working on like that double under muscle up workout. Last month, my double unders were shit. Like I don't know what it was. I worked on things, I worked on them. I made sure that I felt good going into it. And muscle ups have never been my strength. And I ended up getting like a 19th score on that, which was like 15th on that? What? Got 15th on that, I guess, which was crazy to me because that wasn't like a wheelhouse workout of mine. I've just been like putting so much into my training this year that I'm a lot more well-rounded than I like expected. Just seeing it come together in the last 4 weeks, it's pretty cool.
I think like last year it was see how well you can do. Like this is the first time I didn't want to put too much pressure on myself. And then like this year, it's changed kind of over the past few months. Like obviously doing well in the open helped, but like I think I'm just as good as everybody else there. And now that is my goal, like top 5, get there. Is that it?
Oh my God, this is a big moment.
I know. I mean, he's definitely helped for sure with my training, like with my confidence.
Because she beats me, so she gets more confident.
That's not always true. You beat me today.
In a rowing workout, where you had to row the same distance.
Did Caroline surprise you with her open performance this year?
No, didn't surprise me.
Why not?
Because I saw the progress. Like she trains every day, and like I'm sure you don't feel your own progress all the time until you do something like the Open, where you're on a leaderboard with other people who have in the past like done better than you. But like I get to see the progress and see like it's pretty easy to see where she was last year compared to now. I knew she was going to crush it this year, and she did. Like I don't know, I really wasn't surprised. It was really cool to see, and then to see like that last week, just going for like the world record. That was a big turning point. Like that was something I didn't even consider. Like, yeah, you crushed the Open, but now you're trying to like win a workout. Like that was really cool.
You think she's going to surprise anybody at regionals?
Surprise everybody.
I have a lot more confidence now in my abilities than I did last year. I think a lot of it has to, I don't know what happened in the last like few months, but workouts are easier.
Her mental game has improved because she has improved and she's proven it to herself that she's capable of doing certain things. And one of the things that we're doing right now in regionals prep is if she runs into something that she's not good at, we take it completely out of the workout, we work on it, and again, a lot of athletes, I write this stuff down, they don't do it. I write it down, she does it. And when she does that, she can prove to herself that she can adapt and, learn a new skill.
The biggest thing that I've learned, like the most important thing that I've learned this past year is that the way that you look at something and your mentality and the way that you like compose yourself and how you look at whatever's put in front of you makes a huge difference. It's all the difference in the world. If you get, you're in a bad situation, whether it's a bad workout or, I don't know, your car breaks down, you need a new engine, having a positive mind and knowing like 2 hours, 2 days, next week, you're not even gonna think about what is happening right now, helps push through things. And that is a huge part of training too. Like everybody has shitty training days. This is only one thing. It doesn't define you as a person, it doesn't define you as an athlete, it doesn't like determine how the rest of your night or week is gonna be. Is the way that you look at things kind of determines how everything else falls into place.
I think she fully expects to go to regionals and do well instead of just, oh, hey, I made it to a very elite group, and it doesn't really matter how I do. So there was a sense of that through the Open of I expect to be there, like a seasoned vet, which again, you don't see that happening that quickly with athletes. I've seen people who have been to regionals 2, 3 more times, and they're like, I wonder if I'm going to make it this year. I don't know if I'm going back, And it's that self-doubt. And so she's taken everything in stride. She knows all the work that she's done, that she's honed in on her lifestyle, and she knows that what she's capable of, and she's kind of testing that now, which is really cool to see.
I mean, it's interesting that she came from like kind of an endurance background, because she's now like probably one of the strongest women, like pound for pound, especially in the region. It's just kind of cool. It just goes to show what hard work can do, and like she's dedicated herself like in every aspect. And in the conversations that I have with her now, she's very clearly committed to doing whatever it takes to get to the top, the high level. But she kind of did it. She went from the beginning. Like she's now a high level regional athlete who started in the 9 a.m. on-ramp class at CrossFit MF. So it's like it just goes to show if you really want to, and you can dedicate the time, you listen to coaches, and you like seek that knowledge and have the desire to be better, you can go, sky's kind of the limit, for lack of a better term.
And it's crazy to think about that from day one when she came in. I never thought she would be this person that she is right now. Caroline Connors is extremely strong in so many facets, and she's capable of whatever she puts her mind to. There's a clear difference when she believes she can do something and she really wants something, and she has just about all of it this year.
For so many people, it's hard to reconcile the fact that when you get good, you have to keep trying to get better than that, and just another step and another step and another step, because you do this all year round and you only get a couple of hours for all those months and all those days and all those training sessions. You only get a couple hours to show how good you are. Like, and you think about, sometimes you have good days in the gym, some days you have bad days in the gym. Those better be your good days. Those better be your good hours. Like, you've got to be ready to do that. And the only way to make sure that that happens is to be the absolute best version of yourself and just work your ass off. And she's willing to do that. And there are a lot of people out there that aren't willing to do that, whether they know it or not.
I'm coming. Gonna give everything I have. I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. Work my ass off and pray that that's enough. I'm never gonna give up.
Is there anything that you want people to know about you?
My name's not Carol. My name is not Carol, Drew.